So what is going on, everybody? Fernando Silva here with another video, and here it is. Here is a new M1 iPad Air in that blue colorway. This is the 64GB baseline model without 5G. And what I want to talk to everybody in this video about is what accessories I'm going to be using with this M1 iPad Air to do a bunch of things, from productivity tasks to work tasks to content consumption stuff to gaming. But without further ado, here are the accessories that I highly recommend in order to get the most out of your M1 iPad Air. Let's get into it. So first off, let's start with the things that I have on the iPad Air itself. So with some of these items, I went on the budget side so people can see exactly what you can get for a certain price, especially on the budget for the iPad Air. So the first thing I have is just a folio case by ESR in a black colorway. It has that same kind of like rubbery, leathery finish or like silicone finish that most Apple products have. And I thought this was a great accessory because, again, it's much cheaper than what Apple provides and it gets you like 99.9% of the way there. And it's a very simple case, right? All black, it has a folio on the front. It does have the screen lock on and off when you're using the cover, and it's got a little divot for the Apple Pencil that you're going to be using. And then to segue into the Apple Pencil, you can see that my Apple Pencil is actually a different color. And the reason is because it's not a classic Apple Pencil. It is by a company called Penoval. If you guys have seen some of my recent videos, you know that I'm kind of testing out a bunch of different budget accessories, especially on the Apple Pencil 2 side, because again, the Apple Pencil 2 is $130 and it's very restrictive. Yes, it's made out of great quality. Yes, it works exactly how Apple wants it to work, but outside of that, all you really can do is you have the hotkey for the eraser, and to go away from the eraser, you can swipe up for screenshots, but the functionality for $130 just isn't a huge kind of selling point. So what I've been wanting to do was use those $30, $40 kind of alternatives. And this one is by a company called Penoval. It's the A4. I have a video on it if you guys do want to check it out. But again, for $35, you're gonna get 97 to like 99% of the way there. It's got everything you would want besides the double tap shortcut. So it's got tilt sensitivity, it's got palm rejection sensitivity, you can erase, you can do whatever you need to. It charges via USB-C and it still attaches magnetically. It doesn't charge magnetically, but at least it attaches to your iPad magnetically. And again, the only thing you're missing is an eraser shortcut, which again, if you really want that, you're gonna have to spend like another $90 to $100 for that kind of premium for the double tap shortcut. But if you're okay without it, then one of these pencils is the way to go. And it always brings spare tips with these cheaper alternatives. But one thing I will say about these Apple Pencil alternatives, I haven't used them for longer than about 3 or 4 months, and I've never, ever used them directly on the iPad screen. I always have my Paperlike screen protector on there, so if you guys do want to check that out, I always highly recommend checking it out below. If you guys do get a new iPad, always protect the screen. But I do want to make sure that you guys know that with these alternatives, I've never used it directly on the iPad screen. I've never really used the Apple Pencil 2 on the iPad screen either because I just don't like the feel of it, like the glass to pencil. I'd much rather have that like paper-like feel that these screen protectors provide. So keep that in mind. I don't know what the effects of these alternatives are going to be on a bare iPad screen, and I don't want people coming to me saying that iPad screens are cracked or scratched because of these kind of cheaper alternatives. So make sure you throw a screen protector on there. I highly recommend Paperlike, but again, there's a bunch of different ones on Amazon if you do want to check those out. So those are the 3 main items that I keep on this new M1 iPad Air at all time, right? I want to make sure that everything's protected on both the back and the front. Then I have my Apple Pencil alternative and a screen protector. But now let's get into like the meat of these accessories. So this new one is actually by a company called Espresso, which, by the way, their URL or their domain name is actually very creative. It's like espress.so. Spells out espresso, but they make portable extended monitors for anything basically, right? But for my use case, I'm using it with iPadOS with this M1 iPad Air, and this one is a 15-inch full HD touchscreen monitor by Espresso. I believe it's actually 15.6 inches. It's actually very big, and they claim to be the thinnest portable monitor out in the market. Now I've tested a bunch of portable monitors out there, and most of them, they lack in quality a little bit, but I've never spent more than about $200 on one of them. But this one, this one is of highest quality. The build material is amazing. It's nice and heavy, but also lightweight at the same time. It's made out of aluminum. Like I said, it is fully touchscreen, 15.6 inches, has about 300 nits of brightness. It's a 1920 by 1080 display, so you are getting 1080p out of this thing. It's not 4K, but it's still very crisp. It does run a 16:9 aspect ratio. Like I said, it has 300 nits of brightness. It does support up to 60 Hertz, and it's got a USB-C port that you can use as a one cable solution, and also another USB port in there for power. And then finally, even though this thing is made out of purely glass and aluminum, there's no plastic on this thing whatsoever, it's still less than a kilo. I think it's around 850 grams, so it's still very lightweight, and it's still gonna be more lightweight than, let's say, an iPad with a Magic Keyboard or an iPad with a folio keyboard case or something like that. So overall, from a design standpoint, it's absolutely wonderful. So I'm actually gonna have a totally separate video kind of going in depth with that monitor. So if you guys do want to check that out, by all means subscribe to the channel because it has a multitude of accessories on its own. You can use it with a pen, you can use it with a magnetic stand that they have, you can use it only with your finger. So like there's a bunch of different ways that you can use it. You can use it with Mac OS, with Windows, with iPad OS, with your Switch, with your Xbox. So it's a real versatile portable monitor. So definitely subscribe if you guys want to get some more information on that guy. But then as we continue along with these accessories, the keyboard that I've been using with this guy so far is a new mechanical keyboard, which I'm not used to mechanical keyboards, but this one was sent over by a company called Nuphy, or Nuphy, N-U-P-H-Y. And overall, it's great. I love the aesthetic. I really like the pastel-y colors. I like how it feels when I am typing. It's very, very clicky if you guys want a mechanical keyboard, but it's still very compact. And from what I've been reading, it's overall much slimmer than a very classic, mechanical keyboard. So you can switch the keys out. It brings extra keys, brings a little traveling case if you want it to. It's all fully Bluetooth if you need it to be, which can connect up to 3 different devices at once. But then also you can hardwire it in with a USB-C cable. And overall, from a battery standpoint, it says you get about 1 week of nonstop usage. But again, I've been using it, first off, I was using it with my iPad Pro, and now I'm using it with the iPad Air, and I've had it for over 6 weeks now at this point, and I haven't had to charge it aside from the very first time that I received it. So if you guys want a mechanical keyboard, I thought this was cool, this was different. I enjoy using it, and it's something a little bit different than the classic Apple keyboard, the Satechi keyboard that I use a lot. So that was a mechanical keyboard by Nuphy. Also really recommend it. From a build quality standpoint, pristine. And then when it comes to other peripherals, we're gonna keep it classic with the mouse that I've been using. Again, it is the Logitech Anywhere S2. I've mentioned this a million times on my channel. I have not used a different mouse, and I've been running this channel for about 2 years now. And at this point, they have upgraded it to the S3, but the only difference that I've noticed between the S2 and the S3 charges with USB-C versus the S2 charges with micro USB. So that is still the one thing that I use besides my Xbox controller that still uses micro USB. But from a mouse standpoint, in my opinion, it is the cheapest quality mouse that you can get. You can probably find the S2 for around $60 now and a brand new S3 for around $80. If you want to spend maybe $100 to $150, then you go to the MX Master 3. That's kind of like the big brother. But if you want something compact that's still very quality, that Logitech Anywhere S2 is the way to go. And then to round things off, I do like to include a new USB-C hub that I have. This one is by Chime Pro. It's a very simple one. It's called their Hyperdrive. It just kind of has the bare necessities in here. So you do get a micro SD and SD card slot. You get a regular 2.0 HDMI port. You get a full USB-C port and a headphone jack. So this is kind of like the bare minimum that I would recommend getting for something like this M1 iPad Air. So as long as you have that HDMI port, which is great for content consumption and plugging it into like a larger screen, if you're on the go, and it's so compact and easy to pack away that I do recommend it. And the headphone jack is a nice plus. And then for my audio source, especially on the go, I'm still rocking my AirPods Pro. If you guys do want to check it out, I saw that they're on sale right now on Amazon for $175, which is the cheapest that I've seen a pair of brand new AirPods Pro. That might mean that there's a new one coming around the corner, which Apple has been teasing or people have been leaking a lot recently. But I still think the AirPods Pro, if you buy it today, is still a great, great buy, even at $250. So $175, AirPods Pro, if you guys want to check them out, I'm going to link them down below. And I have a little Pitaka case on there if you guys do want to check that out as well. And then the last 2 things that I'll mention, we still rocking that Xbox One controller that I've been rocking for a long time for any games that I've been playing on the M1 iPad Air. The main one is NBA 2K. Absolutely love that game. I've been playing it for about a year, maybe 2 years now. And then 2K22 in Apple Arcade, absolutely amazing. I'm still hoping that they do a little rumble pack on the Xbox side because I don't have a PS5 controller. So hopefully eventually we'll get some sort of feedback on the controllers when playing video games. And then to charge it up, I have a 100-watt brick by a company called Ugreen, which we've talked about in the past before. It's got 3 USB-C ports and then a USB-A port, and you can use them all at once, and it does pass through 100 watts of power. And then it dynamically changes depending on how many ports are taken up and what devices are plugged into that port. So the main one can charge up to that 100 watts, but then it dynamically changes, like I mentioned, if you have, let's say, an iPhone plugged in, and an iPad plugged in, and a laptop. So having something that has multiple ports is very versatile, and this one by Ugreen, from a price to performance ratio, the fact that it's never gotten warm for me, and it's never heated up any of my devices, those are all things that check off my box that makes it worth it to carry with you. But those are my main things that I'm gonna be carrying with me as an accessory standpoint for this new M1 iPad Air, right? So now with all these accessories, I have the ability to play games, to watch content, to get a lot of serious work done, to edit videos, to answer emails, to use it as a tablet, but then also stand it up and use it kind of like a laptop form factor or like a sit-down desk kind of desk setup situation, an on-the-go desk setup, one would say. But those are the accessories I'm gonna be using. I'm gonna link them all down below if you guys do wanna check them out. Leave a comment down below if you guys have seen any of these, if you used any of these in the past, which one would you pick up if you could pick one up? And then let me know down below, did you pick up an M1 iPad Air? If you did, which one did you get? And let me know why, because I'm curious to know where you're coming from especially. Because I'm curious to know if anybody upgraded from the previous iPad Air to this one, because I'm wondering if that's a justifiable purchase. But that's gonna do it for this video. Leave a little dolphin if you guys made it to the end in the comments down below. And until next time, everybody, I'm out of here. If you guys want to watch some stuff on iPadOS 15.4, check it out over here. I'm out.